So this last convo that I kind of wanted to have, and this is a segue kind of away from everything else, but as it relates to video games being transferred into live action media, right? For the
Right.
longest time, what we've wanted, the question that we've been asking is, can we get a proper film series of films? Can we get something like that based on a video game that could be well received by critics and also be something that generates revenue? Now, before I get into my opinion on that, I want to know what your take is.
Damn. Can we get a video game series of a movie trilogy based on a video game that's held in high regard, critically and also financially a success? I think eventually we could get that. I think all it takes is a great director picking up Metal Gear Solid and running with it in the theaters. You know what I'm saying? And something like that can easily pop, especially when you got Mission Impossible still turning gears and all
Yep.
these action movies coming out. A James Bond. You have what it does. It take a Christopher Nolan type to kind of elevate that and take the source material seriously. Maybe we know the past history. It's not a good one.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a good one.
All right, I'm just gonna run down. Before I get into any of this, I'm just gonna run
Uh,
down a couple movies that
all
got the
right,
live action treatment based off of video games here. Okay,
here we go.
uh, Hitman,
That was
Hitman,
okay. First
the
one,
original.
yeah,
Yeah, okay, yeah, that one was a bad movie, but it was okay. That was the kind of movie that you could watch it. That was a junk food movie.
right. Junk food
You knew
movie. Right. Turn your brain off. Enjoy, man.
you knew what it was before you went into it.
Right.
Okay. Hitman, Agent 47.
Yeah. Hard
Uh,
pass.
okay. House of the Dead.
I never seen it. Never.
Have,
Yeah.
you missed nothing.
Yeah.
Blood Rain.
Oh yeah, but it was Uwe Boll. Yeah, that guy. That guy just has a whole genre of filmmaking, man. Holy smoke. That guy was the most hated man in video game industry.
Yui
Whatever his name. I don't know how you pronounce it, but yo, from like 2001 to like 2010, like this man was hated by gamers, man. Hated.
Oh man. All right, let me get it back together here. We got Max Payne, right?
Pass. Yeah.
And that hurt, man. That
Yeah.
one hurt. That one definitely hurt because I watched that movie and Max Payne
Ugh.
definitely hurt. That's one of my favorite game series ever.
I know. You
Which,
tell me Martin Scorsese couldn't take something with that and do something with that shit? Oh
right.
man.
Max Payne.
Ugh.
Super Mario Brothers.
That's
That was
actually a good one. That is a
that's a
good bad movie.
yes. Yes, that's a good bad movie. I agree with that.
Yeah, that's a nice
Um
time capsule right there, man.
I mean Street Fighter, right? Street
Right.
Fighter is another example of a good bad movie.
Yeah.
A,
You got
a
to see
good
an actor coked out of his mind at an
yeah,
hour and a half film, yo. Like, yeah,
yeah.
that's good. That's good shit to watch, man.
Yeah, it really is. It's good shit to watch if you just want to watch a movie and just yeah, man. And there's no sugarcoating it. Like Street
No,
Fighter was not a good movie at all, but it's enjoyable. It's enjoyable because at the minimum, it looks like they had fun making whatever it was that they made,
right,
even if the movie had nothing to do with Street Fighter in the first place.
right. And then they
And we
tried it again with Legend of Chun Li, and that's
shit.
all.
That's all we're
And
gonna say
people
about
can
it.
remember that shit, and I remember that
Yeah,
shit because I'm a Street Fighter fan. So
I
yeah,
mean, we got a Tekken live action movie.
I mean,
We got a live action Dead or Alive with Kevin Nash as Bass Armstrong.
Straight was that straight to DVD? I think that was straight to DVD, or did it came out a
Uh,
theatrical release?
that might have got a release.
Holy
That might,
shit!
but there you go, right? I mean, there's more that I can name, but I'm only
Uh,
saying this. I'm not even gonna put Tomb Raider in there because I'm not gonna put movies like Tomb Raider, Prince of Persia. I'm not gonna put those in the same category because there's different things that went into that. The Prince of Persia movie was clearly Disney trying to do a riff on Pirates of the Caribbean.
true.
Clearly.
And get
Um,
possibly a little live action Aladdin feel, maybe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%. Like Prince of Persia, while it wasn't bad, it's not something that even registers in my memory all that heavily. It was just
No.
kind of whatever. Other than that, the two Tomb Raider movies that Angelina Jolie did were serviceable for the time that they were made.
Right.
I'm not gonna go too much further than that. I haven't seen the Tomb Raider movie that came out a couple years ago. I haven't watched that one, but
Same
I
here.
can I can imagine that there really isn't a whole lot of meat to the bones there.
Right. Right. Yeah. No one's mentioned it for a reason, right?
Right. But so I'm saying that to say this. As gamers, as people who grew up in that time where even before now, like the modern era of gaming is different from what it was back in the day when we came up. So, but as gamers, it was always something that we wanted to see. We always wanted to see a live action adaptation of some of our favorite video games. And I think the issue as it relates to some of these movies is that the tone is never right. It never feels right. It never feels as though the studios involved have an understanding of the material that it's based on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, why would you get a dystopian alternate reality universe version of Super Mario Brothers? Why would you get that? Why would you get you see what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
didn't even mention Mortal Kombat because Mortal Kombat got it right in terms of the tone of the film that they wanted, but they
Right.
also followed a basic template that was set in place by movies like The Last Dragon and Enter the
Hmm.
Dragon.
Right.
It wasn't they weren't doing they were more or less they were sticking to the script with what they was doing there. So aside from that, my personal opinion on the live action adaptation of video games, I think if we're going to get what we want to see in terms of quality and more or less being faithful to the material and capturing the right tone, it has to be streaming. Has to
Oh,
be streaming. If the 8 episode run of The Witcher was any indication, and I mean, again, I've said this on other episodes. I've never played The Witcher before. I know that there's an avid fan base for that TV series, but I haven't seen a lot of vitriol or negative opinions on the way that they portrayed the character or the world that that character lives in. And there was also enough time that was given throughout the 8 episodes to establish a baseline. And for people who aren't familiar with the character or with the game at all, 8 episodes is enough time to establish a baseline for what it is that's going on and what you're trying to get across. An
mm,
hour and a half to hour and 45 to 2 hour movie doesn't give you the same opportunity to be able to do that as an 8 episode run, especially if you're not familiar with the source material to begin with.
right. Right. So yeah, this is a good conversation point, man. So you're basically saying, theoretically speaking, for a 10-hour, 30-hour, 40-hour plus video game, it
Mm-hmm.
is more beneficial to put in a television slash streaming show
Yep.
rather than try to fit into an hour and a half, 2 hour top film to showcase everything that's great about the original source material and why it resonates with a certain group of people.
100%
Mm,
because your hardcore gaming audience is also blended into the streaming audience. You have demographics blending into each other now. Whereas before the advent of a Hulu or Amazon Plus or a Netflix, the only way you were going to be able to get that new content was either through a TV show that was premiering in the fall or through movies that were going to be coming out every year to every 2 years. Even now, like, think about Game of Thrones, for example, right? Game of Thrones was based on a series of books, the same way as The Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter or something like that.
Or The Witcher too.
Or even The Witcher. Yes, absolutely. The things that worked, the reason why Game of Thrones, I think, hit hard or hit home the way that it did was not only because a lot of people already were exposed to Lord of the Rings, but I haven't met one person that's ever read a book in that series of Game of Thrones. But to be a fan of the show, you didn't have to read the books. What you had to do was sit down and pay attention and watch the show.
Right. That's true.
You get the opportunity to establish some things and do world building. I think if we're looking for quality in terms of our live action TV or live action adaptations of video games, it has to be streaming. I would love to see a Metal Gear Solid movie. I would love to see a Metal Gear Solid series of movies. But I'm not faithful in that whenever, if, and when it does happen, that the right amount of attention is going to be placed in making it as good as it can be because there might not be enough time to do it. Like,
Right.
think of it this way. Okay, have you ever seen American Horror Story? Have you ever seen that show before?
Yeah, I've watched like 2 seasons.
Okay, so perfect example. American Horror Story, or even the show Fargo that's on Netflix. Even though they're more or less alluded to being set within the same world, same timeline or whatever, each season of that show is an anthology, meaning that the stories that are being told within that season are self-contained, right?
Right.
So imagine, let's say you get a Metal Gear Solid TV series on HBO Max. Season 1 of Metal Gear Solid is Snake Eater.
Ooh. Oh man. Oh shit. Yeah, yeah.
Season
Damn.
one of Metal Gear Solid is based on Snake Eater, and you have 8 episodes to establish the baseline of Naked Snake becoming Big Boss and all of the stuff that he dealt with during the course of that game, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, which is one of my favorite games ever. Compare that. Imagine an 8-episode run where you get to see all of this character development for all the characters, and you get to see Big Boss lose his eye and kill the boss and all of this stuff here. You get an entire episode based around the boss fight between Naked Snake and the End in the woods, in the jungle.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Man.
One man with a sniper rifle and another guy trying to find him. You get an entire episode based around that. You see what I'm saying?
Dude. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, the potential of that shit. Okay. Yeah. Keep going. Keep going.
So that's season 1. Season 1 ends when Naked Snake becomes Big Boss. Okay. Season 2. Season 2 could either be Ground Zeroes or the Phantom Pain, kind of explaining how Big Boss wasn't comfortable being Big Boss, got screwed over by his own country's government, and became this tyrant who decided he wants to establish his own military state and more or less become his own superpower within the world. That's season 2. You get into you get into him losing his arm. You get into all of that. You like you get into him getting his hands on a nuclear weapon. Season 3 is Metal Gear, the original Metal Gear game that was on Super Nintendo. You can make an 8-episode run out of Metal Gear explaining how Solid Snake goes from being a rookie soldier sent in on a mission from Foxhound, from Big Boss, who he thinks has actually got his back, to finding out he's been double-crossed and having to take down his boss. That's 8 episodes of Rambo First Blood right there, bro. And
Yeah.
we can get into some shit right there. You know what I'm
This
saying?
shit's making too much sense, man. You're making too much
Like,
sense, bro.
and again, with it being on a streaming platform, you don't necessarily have to worry about censorship or anything like that. So if we want to get into some of our violent hand-to-hand combat, CQC, necks getting snapped, getting
Mm.
stabbed with knives, headshots,
Mm-hmm.
muzzle flashes, and all of that, we can do that. We can do that, but also give it enough time to where it doesn't feel rushed, right? So that's
Right.
season 3. Season 3 is Metal Gear. Season 4 is Metal Gear Solid. Big Boss is already dead and everything like that. Season 3 ends where Solid Snake kills Big Boss and decides, I'm going to Alaska. You know what I'm saying? I'm the man, but I don't want to do this no more. I've been exposed to seeing that war and all of these things are not the life that I want to live. And then season 4 is Metal Gear Solid with Solid Snake versus Liquid Snake. And Ocelot shows up as an old man, even though you seen Ocelot as a young man in season 1.
Oh, jeez.
You see what
Woo!
I'm saying? You
Yeah,
get Gray,
man.
you get Gray Fox as the ninja popping up in season 4 after season 3 when Solid Snake and him had the rumble or whatever. And then season 4 just ends. And then that's Metal Gear Solid, the TV series. With the way that content is and the way that every streaming platform is now looking for something to build their platform around. And the new wave has to be video games because I don't think that movies aren't going to work. I'm sure I don't know if you read about this or not, but like there was some rumblings about like a Fallout TV series being put on Amazon Prime.
I didn't
A
hear about
TV
that.
Yeah, a TV series based off of The Last of Us that was being floated out there.
Yeah, I heard about that one for sure.
I really think that has to be the way because it can't go any other way. As a fan of some of these video games, like God of War, for example, there's been 4 games based on God of War. So would I rather see a movie like 300 with the visuals telling the story of Kratos? Yeah, I would love to. Absolutely, I would love to, but I don't know that there's a director or a studio out there that's going to be willing to put that money up and trust their investment and do it justice. A couple years ago, when BioShock came out, there's concept art online right now for a BioShock movie that was in development. I'm not sure. I don't recall if it was Universal Studios that was behind it or if it was Warner Brothers. But initially, it was meant to be rated R with a $200 million budget, right?
Ooh.
It was
Oh
meant to be
shit.
rated R with a $200 million budget. Studio became a little bit uneasy when Watchmen came out with a rated R and a $200 million budget, and that made them kind of back away from it and think going PG-13 was the right route. And then it all fell apart. There's no reason why a BioShock TV series is not on Netflix right now.
I know, dude. I mean, you're right. In these streaming wars, people looking for exclusivity of their content. Video games is a freaking gold mine right now. Untouched,
Easily. Easily.
untouched. Just so many. It's a plethora of fucking of material, dude, that you could just
Yep.
go into and be like, we got a show here. We got a show here. So what if Sony has an exclusive deal with somebody? So God of War only is streamable on Amazon Prime. So not only do you have Spider-Man only on the
Mm-hmm.
console for the Marvel Avengers game, but now you only
Mm-hmm.
have Sony exclusive The Last of Us or God of War only exclusive to this shit. So it's like, well, fuck. Now you're really going down like exclusivity and companies partnering up with each other. So Microsoft be like, we're going to take Halo and
Yep.
we're going to take that to HBO Max.
This is literally an untapped resource because the lore and all of that is there. The Witcher, for better or worse, has to be a harbinger of things to come. It has to
Mm.
be. And Netflix was ahead of the curve in terms of what I think is going to be coming later on, because
Right.
now
They already
with
dug
the
into Castlevania.
right,
3 seasons. Well
yeah,
received.
and with the advent of streaming and the actual fact that there's money in that now, and that actors who are big time movie stars can be on these streaming platforms in between some of their bigger projects. Like, the separation between television and big screen is getting smaller and smaller by the day. Like, literally, Al Pacino was the star of a show that was on Amazon Prime. Al
Facts.
Pacino. So there's no reason why a Metal Gear Solid live action TV series can't have an A-list star as Solid Snake, Big Boss. There's no reason why none of that can happen. I mean, you just seen Superman play the protagonist for a character based on The Witcher on Netflix. You just seen that. I really that has to be the new wave. The new wave has to be video games on these streaming platforms.